I knew what I wanted to do because I had experience doing it. I knew what I didn't want to do because I had experience doing it. And so I would tell anybody who's getting into it, it isn't all glamorous. Even as an entrepreneur, even 9 to 5, right? Both have their ups and their downs, and so you have to choose. You have to choose what fits for you.
Hey everybody, Dominique Henderson here, coming at you with another episode, a conversation I had with a recent friend of mine, Ash Exantus. We chopped it up for a good 30 to 40 minutes about everything that I think anybody out there that's an aspiring or even a current financial professional thinking about the path of entrepreneurship, launching your own firm, some things you need to consider. He had so much wisdom, having spent 20 years in the game and done the corporate side as well as starting his own business, Mind Right Money Legacies. So we got into so many things. Here's a little bit on his background.
Honestly, every single day I wake up, I wake up to a dream almost. Like my house, and no bragging or anything, but my house now is 6,000 square feet, right? It's funny. So if you go to my Instagram page recently, I post last Thursday, Throwback Thursday, I posted a picture of myself and a friend of mine in my room, right? The room that I grew up in. Literally, that room is the size of my daughter's closet. Wow. So think about that. I grew up in a room for like 20. I left my mom's house when I was 24 years old. Okay. Right. And so for 24 years or 22 years, because we had moved to a different housing complex, but for 22 years, I was in a room that was so small that literally right now it's just, my daughter's closet is that size, right? I say this to say that every single day, that's why I do what I do, because I understand what it really feels like to be at the bottom. I like when people say, I was raised in the projects with roaches and rats, like that was real. Like I lived on the first floor, and my window was adjacent to like the dumpster where everybody threw their garbage and their trash. And so literally, like rats, not mice, but like rats would be in my house. Like, we couldn't leave any food out. Like this, it was one of the worst sort of like conditions that you could possibly live in. It's humbling to say the least, because I never get to a place where I look at what I have and I'm ungrateful for it, or I never look at it as if I've lived in an environment of scarcity, and so now that I'm able to have space, and have abundance and have success. I appreciate it every single day. Every single day I wake up, I'm happy.
I hear you, man. One of the benefits of talking to someone like Ash, aside from his great energy that he has during these conversations, is the fact that he's been doing this for some time and he's seen both sides. He's seen the side of corporate finance and he's also seen it on his own. And so he talks about something that I don't think gets enough of press, which is the pressures that a financial professional can feel during different economic cycles. And he talks about how he felt during the Great Recession.
So I wound up leaving banking around 2009, right? So you think about 2008, 2009, what was going on, with the Great Recession. A lot of people never hear the story of how the people on the inside felt, right? You always hear the story about the recession and what was happening on the outside, but what happened on the inside? What was happening on the inside is the bosses didn't care about no recession, right? They were putting a lot of pressure on us to meet numbers that
couldn't be met.
Exactly. And so you talk about working 80 hours, you talk about going home with a migraine, stressed out because these impossible numbers are put on you. And some people got like physically sick. People were like, it was a lot going on around that time. And so when I was like, my health is not worth this, you know what I'm saying? So I'm out, and I wound up leaving in 2009. leaving the banking world in 2009, going into 2010. But, at the same time, it's like you gotta, you gotta have your why. You have to understand why you're doing it. You have to have the grit. There's just so much that goes along with that. And so, I was empty inside. People were looking at me like I was successful, but I didn't feel successful. And so that's when I had to define, what does success mean to me? And I could tell you, when I decided to quit my job, like I said, I was 2009 going into 2010. People thought I was crazy. It's a recession. You're about to quit a 6-figure job to become what? An entrepreneur. And where I come from, we don't have entrepreneurs, right? Like, entrepreneurs we know are street pharmacists, right? And so we don't have that. Like, what is this?
Ball players, rappers, and street pharmacists. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And so I took a beating. I took a beating early on from friends and family because I made this decision. But at the end of the day, it was what fulfilled me. It was what made me whole. And so that would be my advice to anybody. Make sure that you're defining success and that you have a definite chief aim for your life.
I really appreciate Ash for bringing out this next part of our conversation, which is, when you're an entrepreneur in financial services, you're not just a financial professional to your clients. You're also a business owner. And wearing a business owner hat means a lot of things. And sometimes if you're not, have done some self-awareness work on the inside, things can get really, really hard, and you can be doing a lot of things that just feel like you're chasing your tail. I love his perspective right here.
But I will say, as an entrepreneur, if that is your focus, though, you will still be empty. Right? If your focus is only to make money, you will be empty. Your focus has to be on, what problem do you solve? Honestly, what skills, what do you have in your arsenal that you can help someone solve a problem? And by helping that person solve that problem, the money's going to come. Right? And so you have to be in the service business. You have to serve people, serve their needs. And based on serving people, serving their needs, there's actually a fulfillment in doing that. Every single day I get, whether it's people writing reviews on my books, whether it's people, sliding in the DMs telling me thank you for something that I helped them with, an email, whatever it is, I'm always getting affirmation from the people that I work with that, you've helped me. And even sometimes it's even strangers that I've never even met before that are just like, yo, you don't know this, but you saved me so much. Or, I'm in like literally, I think last night I got a DM from somebody who was like, yo, I've been in a dark place lately, but every morning I wake up and I read your post, you give me life. And I'm like, man, like that means a lot to me. And so I think that is what is fulfilling. And I think that when you think about life, and I can tell you from experience that life is not a destination. Like, there isn't, like, stop trying to get to a place, because when you get there, it's just human nature. It's just human nature. When you get there, next place. You're going to think about the next place. And when you get there, you're going to think about the next place. And so that's why it's important that you are loving what you do. If you're a financial advisor, you're a financial coach, you're in the financial services business, if you do not like what you do, then you need to get out, because you will not be successful. Does that mean you won't make a lot of money? No, absolutely not. I know people who hate what they do and they make a lot of money, but are they happy, right? Are they fulfilled? Are they able to enjoy that money? And the answer is no, because they're not doing what they love to do. And so always, no matter what, think about whatever you do as the journey. And if you're not loving that journey, if it doesn't feel good while you're in that journey, then you need to pack up, move on, and do something else. Even if what you want to do may not necessarily seem like there's money attached to it. Like, if you love to play basketball, then you need to be playing basketball, or maybe you need to be coaching basketball, or maybe you need to be around basketball, or or something around basketball. But it's the love for what you do that's going to make the journey fun. And while you're having fun in that journey, that's when the money's going to start coming in.
This part of the conversation, I think we're going to step on some toes here and possibly polarize some people. But of course, you know me, I love to do that. And Ash gives his perspective that every person, that means all people, 100% of people need financial advisors. And here's the reason why.
there are enough people struggling for everybody, right? There is no, like, I never look at a financial advisor, as a financial coach, anybody as competition, because especially in the Black and brown community, who we never for a long time had professionals who were talking to us about money and wealth creation. And in fact, correct me if I'm wrong, currently, if you look at financial advisors, Black and brown financial advisors, what is it, 2%, 3%? It's like
less than 3%.
Yeah. Less than 3%. Like, so think about that for a second. There's less than 3% of financial professionals teaching people how to build wealth and manage money, right? And so there's never that competition. And so not everybody is going to be a financial advisor. Not everybody's going to be, a CFP. But we need financial coaches, and that's why, for me, that's what I do, right? So I'm a wealth coach.
Yeah, talk about that. Let's talk about Mind Right and how people can connect with you in order to, because you said something beautiful the other day. You was like what you do is kind of like, this step to help a person be able to work with a financial advisor or somebody like that. So what are you doing at Mind Right, and what are some of the things that you're coming across and how you're helping people?
For sure. So for me, when I looked at, my business model, I wanted to be, I wanted to reach the masses, right? I wanted to build a national brand that could reach a lot of people. Hence why I started writing books, why I do a lot of national television and radio. But then I said, it's one thing to give them, give people the knowledge, but when people are ready to implement these things, like what tools am I giving people? What resources am I giving people? And so I started the company, Mind Right Money Management, which is a financial education company, but we also have programs. I have a program called the Mind Right Legacy Builders Program, and it's a wealth building tool, right? So I give you a tool where you can actually log in and aggregate all your bank accounts. You can see what debt you have, to see where are you as it relates to your net worth. Are you moving in the right direction, as it relates to your net worth? But my goal is to prepare people for financial advisors, because poor people with low means, wealthy people, everyone needs a financial advisor. It does not matter. There isn't this thing like, oh, I'll get a financial advisor when. No. If you earn money, then you need someone advising you on your money. Especially think about somebody who is wealthy, somebody who has a lot of wealth already. They have a team of people. They have a CFP.
Let me interject.
Yes.
And a lot of I've been married for 22 years, and so some of this was my wife. But I, as a professional, having done this for 20 years, have a professional. So it's like there's too much bias with me managing my own money for me to make the right decisions once the stakes get higher. So no, you make an excellent point. So
right, and so you think about having a CFP, having an accountant, like having a mortgage broker, having a business manager if you're at that level. If investment, like wealthy people have a slew of people that they go to help maintain and build their wealth. And so for me, understanding where we are as a people, my goal is to prepare people to be ready for a financial advisor. What does that mean? If someone, I guess when you think about, what is it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Yeah. When you think about that, and I've been there, right? I've been to a point where, let's say I don't have any money, right? I'm struggling. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not thinking about retirement. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to eat today. Right? So how can I possibly think about the future? If I'm paying, if I'm worried about student loan debt and I'm worried about all these things, then how can I possibly think about tomorrow? And so for me, it starts with addressing people where they are right now, right? And so if you have a majority of people living paycheck to paycheck, if you have people who are knee deep in student loan debt, credit card debt, people who are only living on one source of income, what I do with my program is get you to that space where, number one, you're defining what financial freedom means to you. What are your financial goals? Where do you want to see yourself? Number two, we're focusing on debt, right? Like, how do we manage your debt currently? How do we create a budget? How do we get the spending diary to figure out where's your money going currently? But then also we talk about multiple streams of income. So I help people create multiple streams of income, whether it's, intellectual property, starting a side hustle, starting a business, investing in real estate, whatever it is, whatever that thing is that you can do that's going to give you that additional source of income, then we focus on that so that that way you get to a point where you have the basic, the foundations intact. So when you're ready, right now that you have those foundations and, I say, hey, Dominique, I got this client for you. Now it's packaged where, all right, now you took them here. All right, now, let's talk about retirement. Let's talk about estate planning. Let's talk about all these things that we need to put into place. Let's talk about insurance. All these things that we need to put into place to make sure that we're helping you maintain your finances today, but we're also helping you protect your assets. We're creating, an estate plan that you could pass down your wealth to the next generation. So all of these things that's necessary to break the cycle of poverty, right? So we're only 50 years in. When you think of, I could tell you all the history as to why this is the first time Black and brown people are truly free here to build wealth and pass down generational wealth. And so we have to take full advantage of it. And so my goal with the Mind Right Legacy program is to really help people get to that space so now they could start creating generational wealth.
In his program, Mind Right Money Management, I was curious what Ash was doing in order to help his clients. And he actually has a very unique system that he is preparing his clients for financial advisors. So it's almost like they get to graduate to this point of needing a higher level of financial services. And that's what he's helping clients with. And he gives some wisdom for tomorrow's financial advisor. Check this out.
I think number one is people's relationship with money. I think that we've been taught, not even I think, but we've been taught that we have to work hard for money, and the wealthy know that money needs to work hard for us. And so that's the number one thing that needs to happen to change. When I notice that people are struggling with money is because they're too focused on their physical labor. They're focused on, how hard can I work
trading time for money.
Exactly. Yeah. They're at that space where they're still exchanging time for money instead of saying, okay, how can I get to a space where the money that I'm earning right now is going to help become the launch pad so that I can I could work or have my money work for me, right? So that's number one. Number two is that people are not acting their wage. They're acting their want size. And so they say that they want financial freedom and they don't want to exchange time for money, but they do
something different.
Right. They do something different, right? They have a $700, car note, or they live in a neighborhood that they really can't afford. There's so many things that they're doing with their money that are all liabilities. And so they don't have the capacity to save money. And so now they're working for debt. They're working to maintain their lifestyle. They're not working to build wealth. I'm a man of the streets, right? So you can't, I'm not going to be for education before using your skills and talent to make money, right? So I'll give you an example. So I didn't get my bachelor's degree till 2015. That's 4 years ago. Right? I got my bachelor's degree 4 years ago. And the only reason I got my bachelor's degree was because I wanted to be a CFP. And in order to be a CFP, you have to have a bachelor's degree. Yep. That was the only reason. I graduated high school. I already had my job. I went to a community college. I spent 4 years in a 2-year school. I got an associate's degree in finance and investments, and off and on was going back and forth to school. I don't believe that you need, unless your degree, like in my case where I wanted to get a CFP, and so I got my bachelor's degree. If your degree is not going to help you make any more money, or like if it's not going to help you in your career trajectory, then I think you're wasting money. and you're wasting time. Exactly. And those are the two things that that make the world go round: time and money.
And you can't replace your time.
Exactly.
That's the deal on that. So yeah, I have very strong. I got 2 in school right now, and they're going into professions that require the degree. But like I told them, I was like, hey, me and your mom, we've gone to school, we've gotten graduate degrees. However, you do not have to follow our path.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is a different society we live in. So no,
and the one caveat to that, because I don't want to, I'm not anti-school.
No, I hear you. Me neither.
Because I actually appreciate. That's the one thing I would have done differently. Actually, is when I was in community college, and even I went to Baruch College, which the Zicklin School of Business is one of the top business schools in New York, and so I wish that I would have connected with more people, right? And so if you come from a space where you don't have a strong network, then going to school may be the right thing to do to help you build your network, right? Make sure that your focus is not just on the piece of paper, but you're actually using the time that you're in college to build a network, to connect with the alumni, to do your internships, like the things that will move you towards creating that career and life path that you want, but make sure you're using, school the right way. Don't just jump into the water, like dip your toe into it first, I knew what I wanted to do because I had experience doing it. I knew what I didn't want to do because I had experience doing it. And so I would tell anybody who's getting into it, it isn't all glamorous, even as an entrepreneur, even, 9 to 5, right? Both have their ups and their downs. And so you have to choose, what fits for you. And so I would just say, just dip your toe, figure it out, right? So if you want to, be in the financial services space, you don't necessarily have to quit your job. You don't have to start your full business. You do not have to quit your job. You do not have to, go create the LLC first. The first thing you could do, volunteer, right? Like I got my start with Operation Hope. So Operation Hope is a national financial literacy program in 2004, right? I was still a banker. I would go to inner city schools and I would teach them about financial literacy, right? And so do that, right? You got United Way, you got Operation Hope, you got Jumpstart. There's so many programs out there that focus on financial education. Start there, right? Volunteer and see if that's what you want to do. If you have children, contact your children's school and ask to speak to the PTA and work with some parents, right? Like do that, first to see, all right, do I like this? Does this feel good? And if it does, now try to figure out the path, but don't. I implore you, do not just jump all in. Don't go head first, because once you're in it and you're immersed in it, you'll get to a space where you feel like you have to continue because you put so much on the line. Just try it out, and I think the good thing about the world that we live in right now is that you have access to everything. You have access to information. You have access to everything you need in order to see if this is something that you want to do. I would just start there. I would start with just testing it out, seeing if you like it, and then one, just like a relationship, right? You don't meet somebody the first day and say, oh, we're getting married, right?
You gotta date them.
You gotta date them, right? So date financial services, right? Go on a date, not just one date. Go on a few dates. Courtship, right? Go on a few dates. See how it feels, right? See if this is something that you could get into long term, and if it is, then pop the question.
That's well. Say, man, this has been so cool. Tell the people how they can connect with you if they want to follow you on social. Like, where can they find you?
Yeah, for sure. So if you go to my website, iamashcash.com. You'll see everything, personal, business, everything is there. You can also follow me on all social media platforms. I am Ash Cash. That's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything. And Dominique, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank
is
you
fun, man.
for having me on, man, for sure.
This is fun. This is fun.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to have you back. I'm never up in New York as much as I need to be, but
I'm actually in Atlanta now.
okay.
Yeah, I go back and forth between New York and Atlanta.
Well, good stuff then. We'll have to cook up because I got a good buddy in Decatur, so I get over
dope.
there at least twice a year. So.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, let's definitely connect.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Well, Ash, we appreciate you, brother, and have a great day, man.
All right, appreciate you, man.
As you can tell, I really enjoyed my conversation with Ash, learning a little bit more about what he's doing to serve in the financial services industry, just his background and some of the things he enjoys and how he's helping people. Now, this was not the full interview, obviously, but to check out the full interview, you can go over to my website where I'll have a link down in the show notes to grab that. And if you want to connect with Ash on social media, which I highly implore you to do, he drops some nuggets quite often on Instagram and Instagram story. Those details will be down in the show notes too. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.